All right, it is 7:02 on October the 20th, 2020, and I call this meeting to order of the Folcroft Borough Council. Just want to mention that prior to this meeting, there was an executive session to discuss personnel issues. And I'd like to turn it over to the mayor for the flag salute and invocation. Turn the computer around. And I think we got a flag.
In the past, take a moment to think about the people that are battling this virus. Okay, pledge allegiance to the flag, United
States of America,
and to the republic
For
which
which
it
stands
one
one
nation, under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for
liberty
all.
and justice for all.
All right. All right, so we'll go to turn it over to the borough manager for the roll call.
Council President Papaleo,
Present.
Councilman Kyle Willis,
Present.
Councilwoman Lee Daly,
Present.
Councilman Nick Waters,
Here.
Councilwoman Melinda Isaac,
Present.
Councilman Jason McGuigan,
Here.
Councilman Robert Ruskowski.
Here.
Mayor Bob Fry,
here.
Alex,
Here.
and I'm here, all present.
Okay, let's move to the audience participation portion.
There were no audience comments.
Okay, we'll move to the engineer's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. You do have a copy of my report. I just have a couple things this evening. The first is that Ernell Construction completed the bridge approach along Primus Avenue, the two walkways that go down to the train station. And I am recommending payment in the amount of $3,000 for that project. We did check everything. I need to get in touch with Amtrak. One of the Amtrak lights is at like a 60-degree angle to plumb. So I think they need to repair that before there's an accident there.
Is that the, I'm sorry, Liz, is that the one at the top of the steps? I think me and Andrew
Yes.
noticed that yesterday. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it's on both sides. So they did the northbound and the southbound.
Okay. Very good.
The road program, we've heard from Damon that they should be in Folcroft Borough at the end of the month. The small sewer and water grant that we've received, I did speak to DCED, and we can remove the wet well portion of that project to reduce the scope so that we can get within that $34,000. I do want to mention that in speaking to Mr. Welker, told me that we need to update the current leadership because they have old information. So I'm going to put that in an email to them tomorrow. As far as the building is concerned, we have completed some of the requirements for the RCAP, which include the floodplain certification. We are meeting with the company to do the phase 1 ESA on Friday, and that should be completed next week. We did get the signature from Philadelphia, so that portion is now with DEP, and we're expecting that we'll have something from DEP next week. That's all I have, unless anyone has any questions. One other thing that I should mention, but I don't have any further information from the last meeting. I did speak to Michelle Garrity. They are currently putting together a cost estimate, and they will give us a fee in lieu so that we can do the other half of the streets that PICO is going to restore. So we'll be doing that as a full project once we have those numbers. That's all I have.
Joe, you are muted.
Forgive me, folks. Sorry, I apologize. So moving on to public finance and administration, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the bill list for the month of September 2020.
So moved.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the treasurer's report for the month of September 2020.
So moved.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the September 1st, 2020 committee meeting minutes and September 15th, 2020 council meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. I'd like to entertain a motion to hire Denise DePasquale as a full-time administrative assistant.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. I'd like to entertain a motion to authorize the solicitor to draft and publicize a request for professional services for insurance.
So moved.
Seconded.
Discussion
You're free to ask questions or to discuss, sure.
for the purpose of,
It's basically an RFP, I believe, because our contract with our current broker is at its the end of its life cycle, and I think we're going to entertain competition and see what comes back. Is there anything more I can add, Andrew, that is important to note?
Just the standard RFP. Let's see what comes back. We may find that the company we have is great and keep using them.
so the RFP is going to be for one company, similar to the business privilege tax, and then we'll vote on that company.
No, it depends on what we get back.
Right. So if you put an RFP out and you get, one or two responses, I mean, it's whatever you respond to whatever you receive. I mean, so I'd like to entertain the motion.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve an engagement letter from Catania Engineering for temporary building inspection, rental properties, and code enforcement.
So moved.
Seconded.
Discussion.
If you
What
have
is
any-
the, have we done a cost analysis on how much this will cost compared to the other company doing it?
Yes, so I believe we were cutting a check to something to the tune of $11,000 a month to pay for the employees of Pacenti Incorporated. In addition to that, they were also charging us, I think it was something to the tune of 30 or 35% for the permit fees. And so when we weighed it out, while the one might have
let me
looked
just-
better on the front end, it really wasn't.
So you mentioned permit fees were going from 35 to 50.
Correct, but we also don't pay $11,000 a month for personnel.
Now, down at the bottom of the engagement letter, it says hourly rates or fixed fee upon discussions. What is that?
Lisa, would you like to explain that for us? Ms. Catania, I don't know if you're, let me see if I can,
I'm trying.
sorry, were you on mute too? I did
Hitting the
same
button,
for you.
it wasn't going. So can you repeat that question? I
So-
don't have any of that information in front of me, so.
So he's talking about so your engagement letter, I think he's talking about, so Councilman McGuigan has asked about the, I guess
There was this one specific item, but
so
I,
hourly
You want me to
hourly
rephrase?
rates and other fees upon discussion.
I was going off of Council President's comment that we were paying hourly rates for the previous company, and while this contract, this engagement letter is front end loaded, that we won't have those fees. And my question was, at the bottom, it says for code enforcement, hourly rate or fixed fee upon discussion. So there will be a rate there, correct?
No, because we were asked to put something together, we have the ability to negotiate something. Right now, this is just an interim. We were asked to fill in for a period of time. So if there is another method that council would like to see us take a look at, we do it various ways for different municipalities. So some are percentages of permits, some are just hourly rates. It really depends. So if council determines that there's a better way or they want to see it a different way, then we can accommodate that. That's what that means.
And so, okay, so just to be clear for the, I guess okay. So so I was correct in the assessment that it would be that it's 50% of the permit fees as opposed to the, right now, as opposed to paying for the, right.
That's how we put well, I didn't write it. Charles wrote it. My brother wrote it. My brother is the BCO and a PE and a certified NASCO inspector and reviewer. So Charles has quite a few various credentials, we'll say, that to do that job. Charles, in
And
discussion
to
with
be clear,
him,
to be clear, credentials that were not possessed by our prior contractor.
I don't know that. I don't know who they had working for
And-
them to be able to say something like that. Nor would I. Right now, though, because this was done rather quickly, the easiest way to do it was with the permit fee, and then we can figure it out from there.
Okay.
And just for clarification, the section that Jason was discussing is code enforcement services if needed, which we will be discussing hiring a part-time code enforcer, which would make that portion of the services not needed, which is why Joe is indicating that there was no hourly rates, because we will be performing that service in-house.
So
There
just
may-
so
there
I'm
may-
clear, the part-time position, which we discussed earlier, which would be at 20 hours a week, will be our only code enforcement?
That's correct. So for the property maintenance angle, yes. So if you consider code enforcement to be UNO and other building inspection services, that's kind of another branch or division, as I understand it, of code enforcement. So for the.
Well,
just
that
for the
was
prop-
actually my next question, was on the housing inspection and services. So the way we do it now, well, the way we did it before was the outfit would take 50%. Excuse me, they would take a flat fee of $37 for both inspection and re-inspections. Now this will be 50% of the fee for the initial inspection and 100% for re-inspection. And I'm asking this question to the council: doesn't that invite failures?
How would that invite failures? I'm not sure I understand.
Well, because before, so the philosophy of paying the outfit a flat fee, whether they did an inspection or a re-inspection, was it looks better. When you have a company that gets 50% of the fee for the inspection and 100% of the fee for re-inspection, I mean, my philosophy is that makes re-inspections go up.
That's an integrity issue, Mr. McGuigan, and I don't believe that would be something that I would even care to mention.
Well, that's why I said the question was to council.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
I don't know what you're looking for from an answer in terms of, what you're looking for from me in an answer regarding that question. I mean, what's at the crux of your question here? What is it that you're suggesting?
Well, just that fees are going to go, it could go up to the residents. This would be a pass through directly to them. Has nothing to do with us. If they're, first of all, the fee would go up because I think our fee is $125 for an inspection. So that goes from $37 up, right? So now we're paying a little bit more there. So we got $62.50 somewhere in the neighborhood. And I could be wrong about $125. It may be different. But, so they'll have a fee there. And then if there's a reinspection, so let's take the integrity out of it. Let's just say they're unlucky and they have to have a reinspection. They're going to have to pay another fee.
Right.
And then
And what are these inspections usually for?
looks like UNO and rental units. So the UNO is when you transfer your home, and rental inspections are the yearly inspections.
For landlords. So then landlords would be subject to, so are you saying that,
For rental.
right? So are you saying that we should be more concerned with discomforting landlords with inspection?
Well, I mean, it also encompasses UNOs for people.
Because I'll be very clear in a public meeting, I don't work for the landlords of Folcroft. I work for the residents of Folcroft, for the renters in many cases. So I want to.
Yeah, but that
clear.
money's passed on to the renters. We know that.
Are we insinuating that there is no additional inspection fee previous to this if, say, an inspection had to happen multiple times anyway? I mean, I don't see how this is going up from.
Well, I don't
before.
know. I don't know the answer to that question because I don't know what the policy is going to be. Before, there was an inspection and a reinspection for the initial rate. The way I read this is it would be 50. They would do two different fees, one of which they would get 50% for the first, 100% for the second, which really doesn't confront council. What would confront council is that they are paying an additional fee upon reinspection.
Correct. So they didn't pay an additional fee upon reinspection before? And what constitutes reinspection? So that the following year, or what are they, every 2 years for rentals?
Every year.
So every year is considered a reinspection?
No, when you get an inspection, you could fail that inspection. And then they would come back. Right. So, and this is for renters and for homeowners, by the way.
Right.
So
if you're a landlord that doesn't know that your property is facing the possibility of a failed inspection, you're probably not a very good landlord.
yeah, what about homeowners?
So again, I mean, Lisa, could we work something out for homeowners for the transfer of for resale? Maybe we could work a special caveat out for that.
I don't know that you can separate the landlords or the
I see.
rental properties and the regular property.
Like I
And
couldn't legally
again,
offer.
there are things that we can sit down and talk about. However, I just want to make clear that all of this information, we are currently looking at the fee schedule to determine, as soon as we can find all the fee schedules, to determine if there's changes that need to be made so that we are being fair to the residents. And that's all we're looking at. We don't have all the information. And when we sat down last Wednesday, we talked about getting the fee schedule and reviewing that fee schedule so it makes sense. It's comparable to the other communities around you, and it's fair to everyone.
All right. So I'm satisfied with that. The motion's on the floor. It's been motioned and seconded. I'd like to call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Nay.
opposed? Okay.
Nay.
So we have, it appears, is that a 6-1 vote? Please document the vote.
We may want to do a roll call vote just so that we can make that clear.
I'd like to call a roll call vote. So, Mr. Borough Manager, you call us by name.
All right, one moment. Council President, hold on a second. Give me one moment. Council President Papaleo,
Aye.
Councilman Kyle Willis,
Aye.
Councilwoman Melinda Isaac,
Aye.
Councilman Nick Waters,
Aye.
Councilwoman Lee Daly,
Aye.
Councilman Jason McGuigan,
Nay.
Councilman Robert Raskowski.
Aye.
All right, the motion passes 6-1.
Very good. Motion carries. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve an engagement letter. I'm sorry, forgive me. Let me write. I'm a little off my spot here in my agenda. I'd like to entertain a motion to accept an engagement letter from eCollect for temporary financial services.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Discussion?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
We're not gonna discuss it?
Would you, okay.
Yeah,
all right.
no, there's actually a major thing in this one that I have a question
Okay.
about.
So
It's
go ahead,
the-
let's discuss it.
The 2% disbursement, can you guys explain to me what that entails? If that's all encompassing of all bills paid and payroll, or what that is, because that's a significant number if it is.
Mike, I don't know if you're on there.
Yeah, I'm here. Good evening, everyone. That 2% was on the total disbursements, but if, so that would be on the total disbursements we made.
So I would ask the council president and borough manager, do you know what that number is?
I think
It's
we,
the-
go ahead.
It's the exact same percentage we were paying previously, 2%.
Thank you.
Mike, I think you can clarify, but 2%.
Correct. That's correct. That's my understanding.
Who were we paying a 2% disbursement to before?
Pacenti Incorporated.
That's not accurate. I mean, that number, just so everyone's aware, if it's of all disbursements is and $3,500 a month is $14,000 a month.
Right, so I think we were paying the Pacentis something to the tune of about that. So, or is that correct, Mike? Is that what we're looking at here?
I don't have the totals of what we're not privy to what the totals were for the previous years.
I think that 2% is just related to payments from the borough, checks written and not payroll and not other areas. So it wouldn't come out to $14,000 necessarily.
So if
Okay.
it's not payroll, then it would come out to $10,699 a month. What have we paid the Pacentis so far this year for financial services?
I mean, we'd have to take a look, probably several $100,000.
Yeah, I
I
think,
mean,
all
I'll
services.
make a motion to recess while we get that number.
Well, just we would honor that if it wasn't only on checks. I mean, we would honor whatever that was. That's not.
It wasn't on anything. But again, I'll recess, so let's not have me misspeak and we can get the numbers.
Mike, would we be willing to honor that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we will honor that then. All right, so then that's settled. So then, given the amendment to the agreement, we'll honor I guess the rest of the agreement, I guess, under the provisions of the old agreement. Is that correct?
Correct. We'll change the 2% of the checks written, and we had one other one plus what would be postage and whatever expenses we had for Federal Express and things like that would be in there. So that would be the only thing we suggest that my financial team suggested that I asked this evening. So we would change that back and then add that in. That'd be insignificant.
Okay. All right. All right. So, motion's been made and seconded. So I think I'll call the vote again. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay. You want to do a roll call?
Sure. Council President Papaleo,
Aye.
but Councilman Kyle Willis,
Aye.
Councilwoman Melinda Isaac, Councilwoman Melinda Isaac.
I said aye.
Oh, sorry, didn't hear you, Mindy.
Sorry.
No worries. Councilwoman Lee Daly,
Aye.
Councilman Nick Waters,
Aye.
Councilman Jason McGuigan,
Nay.
Councilman Robert Ruskowski.
Aye.
All right, the motion passes 6-1.
All right. Motion passes. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve an audit engagement letter from Melee Advisors. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Maybe.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. I'd like to turn it over to the Public Works Committee.
Thank you. So the first item is a motion to hire Joseph Donnelly as a part-time code enforcer at a rate of $15 an hour.
So moved.
No, he made the motion. We need a second.
Oh, second. Sorry.
All right. Motion's on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Please offer my congratulations to Mr. Donnelly and your phone call to him this evening, Mr.
Yes,
Borough
sir.
Manager.
For the next item, Joe, I would like to make sure there's discussion before we take the vote. But I would like to make a motion to approve the borough to advertise a request for bids for a backhoe for the use by the Highways Department in an amount not to exceed $35,000.
We have a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Wait, I wanted to make
Oh,
sure
I'm
that-
sorry. Forgive me.
You're okay. I didn't want to run into this one.
So,
Um,
yeah, I mean, my understanding is we've needed one for quite some time. It's something that has to be bid out. Of course, the bid specifications are, so we have to put it out in such a way that that we get back what we're looking for. Does anybody have any questions? Yep. Lisa?
You can go on CoStars. There are companies that have already bid the project or bid that equipment. So if you go online, I believe that you already have an account. You can reach those various vendors and get the type of equipment that you want. You don't have to use the bidding process. You will have to, when you award, you would have to note whatever contract in the CoStars that you were using. So you
this,
skip
Okay.
that bid process altogether.
this is why I wanted to have discussion. So Alex, I assume that may be a preferable route for us to go rather than.
I think that I would too. I mean, under normal services, but I think I spoke to and I think he may be on this call, is the highway foreman on this call?
Sean is not on the call, but he and I have discussed this. CoStars was actually the initial idea that we suggested. But
I believe he is. I believe he is on the call.
he and I spoke
Yes,
about.
yes, I am on
Oh.
the call.
Oh,
Andrew.
never mind. There we go.
And yes, me and Andrew talked earlier about this, going through CoStars with a bunch of different vendors to find what we or what the borough needs.
So would that be an easier route to go then, Alex? And Sean?
I mean, I definitely think that we have to look at CoStars and see that if we're going to be able to get the used piece of equipment. I know CoStars offers a variety of new equipment. In our situation, a new piece of equipment is a lot more money. So I think we need to look at all options.
Okay, so I think thank you. That was, I guess, the reason why we wanted to do this for a bid rather than going to CoStars. That reminds me. Thank you.
Kyle?
Yes.
There is also, we used to have the option of leasing, however, would be new equipment, but the borough can lease. We leased several police vehicles in the past, and it's a lease program that is just for municipalities, where when the term is over, the piece of equipment is yours for $1. So I know we don't want to spend the money on something brand new, but if there was no other option, leasing is a possibility. You could spread your payments out for years.
Okay.
Mayor, I think, did we also have a person that might be interested in offering help as well? I mean, we should take a look at all options.
Yeah, Tony,
Okay. All right. So I'm going to have, are you on the call? Of course you're on the call, Mr. Foreman, Highway Foreman, Mr. Payne. I'm going to kind of let you take the lead on this. and explore every avenue, explore every option, kick every tire, and then report back to us. But I think we should also advertise the bid and see what we get back. There's no harm in, putting everything on the table. If we get the bids and we don't like them, we reject them. If you know what I mean, if we could entertain all options, correct?
That was going to be my question for Alex. We can, in fact, if we don't want to go forward after we've put out a bid, we can just not go forward, correct?
Right, in their bid language, you're just going to state that you have the power to reject all bids for any reason that the borough sees fit. So you're correct. You could send it out to bid, and if you decide to go on the route, just reject them all.
Okay.
How much does it cost to advertise a bid?
Andrew, it's 2 newspaper advertisements essentially, and then posting to your website. So couple $100, I imagine, for the advertisements.
A couple $100 bucks.
800.
Yeah.
About
About-
800?
Yeah, usually in the upper 300 to 400 range for each advertisement. Depends on the length, I believe.
Yeah, it just gets a little bit worse and worse each year as newspapers start to fade.
I mean, that's all right. So
So it would be my recommendation that we put it out to bid and then we additionally look down these other options. Because the longer we wait to look down these options without having this in front of us, we may box ourselves out of having it in time for winter, which is what we need it for.
Kyle, there's also, thank you for bringing that up, Lisa. There's also the municipal bid program as well. It's essentially like the eBay for municipalities. So you can find all kinds of used equipment on there as well. I think it's worth your time to go on there and take a look, as because you guys can sell your used equipment on there as well. But there's nothing also that stops you from being a purchaser without having to go through the bidding process for that.
and
So you
and
might
Sean,
want to-
Sean, if this involves any sort of travel for you to go look at a piece of equipment, that will be, of course, on the borough.
Yeah,
I mean,
understood. That municipal bid site, I'm actually on there a couple times a week, seeing what's available from other local municipalities. I definitely think that putting it out on bid, like Kyle said, is probably the best bet, but also give other people the opportunity to say what they have available. As long as we're going to be covered with making that type of purchase over the set amount of money that I guess the state recommends.
Okay. And then, all right. So then I definitely do think we should do the bid. And of course, I would hope Tony I would respond to it with whatever, he would have to offer. He's definitely expressed some interest in helping us out with this. So, I'd be happy to, like I said, entertain all angles here. And somebody who knows what they're looking at. And I do implicitly trust the judgment of our highway foreman. I think he'll know what a crappy piece of machinery looks like. So, I don't want to buy anything without you having a look at it, Sean. Is that okay with you?
No, absolutely. I would never want to just buy something that I didn't get to drive or look over or have somebody that I know look at it as well.
Okay, cool. All right. So Kyle, I guess if you want to,
So we've made the motion and seconded. I guess we just call the question.
the motion has been made and seconded. Okay. So the motion's on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
And that is all I have for this section.
Very good. Thank you, Councilman Willis. I'd like to turn it over to Councilman Ruskowski for public safety, for the Public Safety Committee.
Motion to approve the police use report for the month of September 2020.
So moved.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously.
Motion to appoint Tom Weber as fire marshal for the borough of Folcroft.
So moved. Seconded.
All those in favor?
Is he available?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay. Do we want to do a roll call? Let's do a roll call.
Hey, real quick before we get that, who seconded that?
I did.
All right, let's go ahead. All right, Council President Papaleo,
Aye.
Councilman Kyle Willis,
Aye.
Councilwoman Melinda Isaac,
Aye.
Councilwoman Lee Daly,
Aye.
Councilman Nick Waters,
Aye.
Councilman Jason McGuigan,
Nay.
Councilman Robert Riskowski.
Aye.
All right, the motion passes. Councilman Riskowski, that was an aye?
Yes.
All right, just confirming. All right, the motion passes 6-1.
Motion to approve the fire chief's report for the month of September 2020.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Fire chief's report is accepted and approved. Thank you, Councilmember Skowski. Was there anything else you'd like to add?
There's one more.
Yes, I have one more. A motion to hire Liam Cash as a part-time police officer.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, that motion carries unanimously. Please, whoever contacts, I don't know, Chief, if you're on the line, please extend Mr. Cash our congratulations.
I will. I'll take care of that.
All right. Anything else, Councilmember Skowski?
That's all I have.
All right, very good. Moving on to public health and literacy, I'd like to turn it over to Councilwoman Isaac.
Nothing new to report.
Okay, planning and zoning, Councilman Waters.
No new business to discuss.
Okay. Public parks and recreation, Councilwoman Daly.
Just a reminder that this Saturday, 10/24, from 10 to 1 o'clock, we'll be at Borough Hall giving away free pumpkins. Up to 150 residents will be able to get a pumpkin for our pumpkin carving contest.
All right, very good. Can we get a blast on all social media forums for this? Okay, very good. Moving on to municipal legislation, Councilman Waters.
Okay. I'd like to entertain the motion to adopt an anti-nepotism ordinance for Folcroft Borough.
You're making the motion, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Motion's been made. Do we have a second?
Seconded.
Can we
All
just
those-
have the solicitor break it down for us?
Yeah. Mr. Solicitor, if you're able, could you just cut to the important points here? And we'll entertain any questions.
Sure. I mean, it's fairly straightforward. It just essentially states that there will be a de-emphasis in the borough, let's put it that way, on the hiring of family members, either through blood or marriage, and relatives into specific positions. There's also provisions that allow for qualified relatives, family members, and the like to still be hired within the borough, just placed outside of departments where they would be interacting or have direct supervision with those that they are related to or have a relationship with. I mean, that's essentially it as far as the terms go. Very straightforward.
Alex, just a question on the name, because it's the anti-nepotism ordinance. It focuses on family only and not friends?
Correct. Let me look at the definitions again. But yes, you were correct, Jason.
The definition of nepotism or the definition of the ordinance?
The ordinance. Give me 1 second here. I'm pulling it up. Yes, it speaks to family and relatives.
No mention of friends in the official definition.
Correct.
So,
Is there a reason?
I mean, I didn't write the dictionary and I didn't author the English language. I just.
No, the definition of nepotism mentions friends in the dictionary. We're talking about this ordinance.
I'm looking at the definition here. Is favoritism that is granted to relatives in various fields, including business, politics, entertainment, sports, religion, and other activities. The term originated with the assignment of nephews to important positions by Catholic popes and bishops. Like I said, I didn't author the English language. You know.
I mean, I just Googled nepotism, and if you want to hear what came up there. The practice among those with power, influence, or favoring relatives or friends, especially by giving them jobs. And that was just a Google.
Okay. Well, I mean, the definition that I have here is slightly different, but the same idea. And I mean,
Right. So basically
So-
what
Fair
we're
enough.
talking
Asked and
about,
answered.
So the question has been called, the motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It would sound as if the motion carries unanimously. All right.
Can I go on?
Who is that?
That's me, Joe.
Yes, yep, go ahead, continue, Councilman Waters.
Motion to adopt a land development resolution for Formcraft at 712 Henderson Boulevard.
Second.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Joe, there's a couple
Yes.
things with this. Before we vote, this is a land development, I guess some discussion is warranted. So I'll run through it. This is a land development resolution for Formcraft for their development project at 712 Henderson. This is a building addition, roughly 18,517 square feet. The reason this is before you tonight is that for whatever reason, their land development application went in. They received all of their reviews and approval by the borough experts, the engineers, the Delaware County Review Commission in late October and November of last year. For whatever reason, though, we don't have any record of official land development resolution approval by the council. So that's why it's before you. Also to explain to anybody that happens to be a resident that's watching why you've got a land development resolution approval before you and you never saw an application come in or any discussion of the board within the last year. But that's kind of the background on why this is necessary. In order for us to finish off their development agreements, their financial security and their escrow and their stormwater agreements so that they can get their project built and underway, we obviously needed this perfunctory step. Also, without this resolution, they can't record their official plans with the county. So that is that tonight. There are a couple of waivers in paragraph 7 of the resolution. There are 4 to be exact. And I would ask and submit that you take an individual vote on each waiver as well, whether to approve or deny. That's traditionally how you run through a land development resolution application before you as a council. So I don't expect anybody to have it in front of you. So if you do, that would be great. If not, I can read off each individual waiver and then you can take your vote on said waiver if you'd like. Is that okay, Joe?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right, so the first waiver was from, these are all from the county subdivision and land development ordinance. First one was from section 300. That's allow this plan to be reviewed as preliminary and final land development. If there's any discussion? Hearing none, take that one to a vote, Joe.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, that waiver will be granted. The next one is from section 805, subsection C, and that's to provide a driveway width for the project of 40 feet. Any discussion? Hearing none. Joe, bring it to a vote, please.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, number 3 is from section 817, subsection E, and this is to allow applicant to not provide foundation plantings in the new building addition area. Any discussion? All right, Joe.
What are
please
your
bring it to
thoughts?
vote.
What are your thoughts on that?
If I recall correctly, according to the plan, plantings were placed elsewhere on the property to make up for this. So Lisa, you can jump in, but I believe they were offset elsewhere.
Yeah, they are offset elsewhere because of the configuration of the building. For them to put the foundation plantings would interfere with the operation of that particular facility. So they placed them elsewhere on the site.
Any other discussion? I bring that one to a vote, Joe.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
All right, and the last waiver is from section 819, subsection D, and this is to not provide community and open space and recreation areas on the property.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Well, I'm just gonna get his thoughts, Alex's thoughts on that one.
One, which is interesting, you as a borough don't have any specific open space regulations because you obviously use the subdivision land development of the county, which, to be quite frank, is highly unusual, but not unprecedented in municipalities. So if you really want to enforce open space requirements or fees in lieu of, which is always kind of the alternative if they don't want to provide actual land, allocated within their property or elsewhere within your borough, a fee in lieu is acceptable and allowed under the MPC, but you guys don't have those provisions. So, they requested the waiver, and that's essentially it, right? You don't have any teeth to kind of come back and say, well, we'd prefer you do this.
All right, so I'll call the question again. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? So the fourth and final passes.
Yes.
So we have passed incrementally, all four increments, the Formcraft development resolution.
You passed the waivers and now
I'm
take
sorry.
a vote on the resolution as a whole.
Okay. All right, so we passed the waivers. Now we're moving on to the resolution. Nick, could you?
Yeah. A motion to adopt a resolution authorizing the submission of a redevelopment assistance capital program formal application and business plan for Folcroft Borough Police Station and also the Community Center project.
I think that's new construction committee, right?
Well, no, that is for him. He just jumped ahead to the next item. We were still on the.
Yeah, we're still on Formcraft. So we're entertaining a motion to adopt a land development resolution for Formcraft at 712 Henderson Boulevard. That we're motioning to actually approve the resolution in addition to the four waivers we've granted. So
That's correct.
So somebody has to make that motion.
Right.
And I, as council president, I'm precluded from doing that.
Can we just so moved?
Okay. So Kyle's made the motion. Melinda Isaac has seconded. Is that sufficient, Alex?
Yeah, that's
Procedurally?
fine.
All right, it's procedurally sufficient. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to the new construction committee, Councilman Waters, if you could take it away from there again, I'm sorry.
No problem. Motion to adopt a resolution authorizing the submission of a redevelopment assistance capital program formal application and business plan for the Folcroft Borough Hall Police Station and Community Center project.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, very good. All right, is that all we have for municipal legislation? Let me try that again. For municipal legislation.
Yes, that's it.
Okay. All right, moving on to the new construction committee. Councilman Willis.
Thank you. So Lisa's already discussed a number of the items that would have needed updating. We have out for DEP approval, the final external approval we need relating to those items. So we're waiting back for that. And the resolution we just passed just now is another item that we needed. So we are moving forward and clearing up a couple more roadblocks that are in the way before the building. So I'll give you a more firm update on the exact timeline once a number of the issues that are still outstanding have kind of resolved themselves, where I feel confident enough to tell you a specific day, deadline, or timeline we are ready to move forward. At this point, there's too many balls in the air and too many things that need to be moved around and corrected for us to really make a good approximation.
Too many things left undone, correct?
There's just a lot of items that still need to be completed. There's things that this was one of the things that was needed to be completed from previous. That motion was one of the things that needed to be completed prior to this. So we're just catching up and getting things in line.
What is the contractor's deadline before they call it quits for the winter?
I do not have a specific date. They have not indicated that yet. We are hoping to be able to get ahead of that. But there is always a possibility if every timeline hits its absolute worst that we will not make it in time. But we are doing everything in our power to expedite every single approval we can to make sure we are done in time.
Yeah, we also have to catch up on those audits that were never properly done because they've flagged our account for the $1.5 million RCAP grant.
And
Just for
how
the
are we
record.
doing on the RCAP grant?
I just
So
told you.
the motion we just approved was a part of the filing for the Greyhawk approval. We have a number of other outstanding items that we are attempting to get in line for the preliminary approval from them. That is a status where we are attempting to get those documents completed. Part of that has to do with finalizing the loan process, but most of those items have already been uploaded and are done from Bob Lynn, the architect, and the items that Lisa Catania has already completed. So we are making progress, but most of our items for starting construction do not actually have to do with the RCAP, but are the other approvals that we need to get done.
So essentially, we would have to start construction before we've satisfied the audit portion requirement of the RCAP grants, which should have, by the way, been done a year ago. But I just want to put that out there.
Well, I mean,
Is
you
that
did have
correct?
10 months to do it, right?
Right. We're talking about stuff that's from 2017, Councilman McGuigan. Okay.
You said
So
a
I
year
think-
ago.
I think-
10 months of that year, you were sitting in that chair, pal.
Yeah. And we just found out from your buddies, the former finance directors, that they should have done this. And when I asked them at the March 3rd meeting, they told me that we didn't have to. And I have the minutes to
They
prove it.
worked for you for
So
10
the
months.
best thing we ever did was to fire them. Thank you. I appreciate your comment, and we're done here. Do we have anything else from the new construction committee, Councilman Willis?
No.
Can I have the police chief's report?
Thank you, Council President. Everything's going pretty good. We have a little bit of a flaw today with a whole bunch of stuff with drugs and a guy with COVID and supposed COVID and dealing with that. Our anti-crime is doing a great job out there. We have a big case that's going on that is dealing with other agencies right now that I can't stress or give you any more about that, but it's a pretty big case. Let me see what else. As far as parking and stuff like that, we have taken care of the cars. I talked to Andrew about the cars on Bennington, where we had at the committee meeting the last problem on Bennington Road. I did go up to that address and talk to the owner of the house, and it's been taken care of. The only thing that isn't taken care of is the other house that's next door that parks on the grass. And Andrew is working with that with, I guess, with the new code enforcement to start citing for being parked on the grass. So that problem should be taken care of in the borough. We still have utility line services in the borough, digging up all the areas or whatever else. They're hoping to be out of here by end of the year. We are working Monday through Saturday, or they are as well. So any residents that are parked on the streets where the cones are, they need to move them vehicles before we start digging or whatever. And if their cars are not registered to their house in Folcroft, it's very hard for us to get a hold of them. And that causes a problem. And we had that recently in the past, in the last couple days, where we had to tow vehicles and the vehicles came back to houses in Philadelphia. So there was no way of getting in contact with the owner. We exhaust everything that we can to get the owner so we don't have to tow a vehicle of a resident. Other than that, everything else is going pretty good.
All right. Thank you, police chief. I appreciate that. On to the solicitor's report.
Things pretty much remain quiet, which is a good thing for you guys. No major lawsuits, no court actions to report. The only other thing that's kind of hanging out there, I think I reported on a couple months ago, was the opioid litigation. That is still ongoing. It's still in discovery, and it's, as predicted, it's kind of stalled out a little bit as far as parties burying each other in paper. By background, this is the lawsuit that you and pretty much the entire state of Pennsylvania, as far as municipalities go, are involved with against Purdue Pharma. There were some maneuvers eventually, was it last month or the month before, for Purdue to attempt to file for bankruptcy protection, which they did, but that's winding its way through the bankruptcy court right now. There's a legitimate question as to whether they'll even be granted petitioner status to stay in bankruptcy court based on this. So that's essentially from your litigation and kind of borough happenings. They're still not essentially holding at your district magistrate level enforcement actions. Those are few and far between right now, basically due to the healthcare crisis. Same thing with land development. It's very quiet in your borough right now. We just passed the resolution now, obviously, to finish up Formcraft Safe Store. The final development agreements are out. We're just waiting on their final plans to come back in and have Lisa's office approve and sign off for them so that they can begin their construction. The 7-Eleven project that you guys had discussed in September, that use opinion is out to their developer. So we're just waiting on a formal land development application to come in for that project, which I suspect will probably not hit until the new year. So pretty quiet right now, all things considered.
Okay, very good. On to the finance director's report. Could Bill from eCollect, is he still on the call?
I believe you mean Mike. I wouldn't necessarily.
I'm
expect him
sorry.
to have anything ready yet.
Okay, all right. Well, then we can table that until next meeting. On to the borough manager's report.
One moment, let me get it up. All right, I sent you guys out a printed one. I mean, obviously stuff still comes up. Code enforcement first. Code enforcement is significantly down from September. Looks like we will max out at less than 200 violations for the month. We're over 100 now. I don't know the exact number offhand, just because we're in the middle of this transition. But we're averaging 6 to 7 fines issued for every day. That is every work day, not Saturdays or Sundays typically. But again, could be.
Can you, I'm going to interrupt you for a moment. I need you to touch base with Officer Mackey. His mother received a fine in error for something that her neighbor had put out. So there may be some errors on some of these violations that come in for this month.
All right. Thank you for letting me know. I was not aware of that.
Be mindful of it and be forgiving.
Of course.
Yeah.
We currently have about at least 125 delinquent fines over 3 months old that have not been paid. Actually, that number is probably far higher since I've written this. I'd advise that we send out or start discussing sending out reminder letters to these people, as we've done with police tickets, so that let these residents know that they can be paid online, and also with the hope that maybe we can address some of the issues these residents might have to try and assist them in overcoming them. As always, I'd like to encourage any residents who are listening to this meeting to contact the borough, and if they like to discuss it or dispute a fine, just as Joe, you mentioned earlier, and then if they can help to commit to correct a situation, residents who'd like to report a violation as well can also call the borough and let me know. Sean, if you're on here, feel free to interject. The highway department has been busy street sweeping Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Sean, from my estimation, most of the debris that accumulated during the year has been removed. We're now seem to be at least on a more regular schedule. Beginning at the end of October, early November, again, Sean, jump in, but the highway department will transition to leaf collection, which should continue at least the end of November or into the first week of December. The county is not currently providing a location for drop-off leaves to drop them off. So I personally recommend, and Joe, I've mentioned this to you, that we consider a site in Montgomery Park along the dirt road leading to the fishing hole. I think that area would be sufficient for the leaves to decay. Sean, I think it was 15 probably leaf. Again, if he's on 15.
Yeah, so the borough usually averages 10 truckloads of leaves per season. With the county closing the composting facility this year, they're pretty much leaving it up to the borough's responsibility to dispose of. So we're kicking the idea around on using or dumping them down Montgomery Park. I do have to talk to the Delaware County Solid Waste recycling coordinator to verify that we will be allowed to dump them there.
Instead of referring to it as dumping, can we compost our own leaves? I mean, it's not dumping if you're composting, right?
Yes, I think that there's some other municipalities in Delaware County that do that themselves. That's where this backhoe would come into play as far as turning it over every couple months for it to break down and turn into soil.
I will also input from an environmental perspective. Leaf cover is great for erosion control and also for new growth. So having a bit of leaf cover around dirt roads is never a bad thing, just from a ecology standpoint.
Good to know.
Um,
Let's start our own composting then. I mean, can't hurt. If we're going to be, redoing the corner of Primus Avenue and Delmar Drive, we'll have our own dirt to work with when we green it up. So let's do it.
So
We'll find out if we can do it.
highway staff are currently in the process, or actually, he's really completed this already. But if you've seen the pumping station in Montgomery Park, I think it looks fantastic. He's really removed that ugly red fence with the vines growing all on. It's been removed. Wood has been used to replace it. We did get it. We are waiting on a quote to come back from J&P Fencing to replace the fence. But I would say that Sean and I have discussed this, and I think it might be better to replace the slats in the actual cyclone fence and just straighten it out for now. Sean, I think you said that probably should cost more like $500 compared to the probably several $1,000 quote for a new fence.
Yes, I'd like to look into keeping that work in-house, keeping the guys on the highway department busy, saving as much money as possible. Instead of replacing it, just make a repair and make it look the same.
All right.
I'm good with that. I mean, cool.
So we recently purchased official staff hoodies and shirts for the highway staff so that they're more visible, bright yellow shirts with the Borough logo on it. And also lastly, I guess it was actually, this is a week or two ago now, but Sean and the staff repaired the 16-year-old trailer that we used to tow the lawnmower, got new lights, new bed with wood and electronic stuff like that. And we should be, this is in my notes because it was before this motion was made, but the backhoe is priority probably prior to winter. Events, Rep Dave Deloso has been doing a weekly Wednesday food giveaway through the month of October in the lot directly across the street from Folcroft Borough Hall. You've probably all heard my annoying voice calling you and telling you that. Reminders on Tuesdays. It has been immensely successful. I think this is probably our best giveaway. And it's not just to Folcroft residents. So anybody listening, if you need assistance, please attend. We've distributed now over 7,000 pounds of food to residents in need. 350 boxes, 20-pound boxes. The overwhelming majority of the people who attended are Folcroft residents. We've had a couple from, Sharon Hill, Darby, Glen Olden, et cetera. And we currently expect that Senator Williams, at least his staff, I'm still not clear on this, but staff will attend the October 21st giveaway. And Congressman Scanlon has told me that she will personally attend the October 28th giveaway with some staff. It's good to have extra sets of hands to hand out stuff and to let people who might be in need know about the services offered by these offices. Finally, our business privilege tax collection company, eCollect, this is the same company that is now providing temporary services for the borough, has found a total of at least 281 delinquent business accounts in the borough. That means 281 different businesses that are at least 1 year behind on paying business taxes. Mike, if you're still on, feel free to jump in as well. But though many are years or perhaps more than just several years behind, so far, at least $25,000 in delinquent taxes have been recovered for the borough just since the end of September. But this is only a couple of accounts, so it's representing maybe as little as just 1% of those accounts. And I understand that there are still a few that are being identified. And the ballot drop-off box should be open and ready for the delivery of mail. It was originally, we were told Sunday, it ended up being today. Apparently there was some delay with getting the solar cameras used to monitor those locations, but now they're all installed and ready to go.
Very good.
All right.
Is that everything, Mr. Borough Manager?
That's it.
All right, very good. So any old business? Any new business?
Just an update on the dress code policy that the HR director was going to draw up for us to look at.
Yes, actually, Andrew, do you want to go over that? I think we do have something back from him.
Joe, as I told you, I was waiting on your permission. I know you wanted to have some input. I have sent it to you, Joe. I sent it on either yesterday or the day before. It's in your email. It's not in the actual packet.
I've had a lot to read through, and to be frank, I mean, it wasn't at the top of my priority list. I can look at it and we can certainly, did you send it to all council members or just to me?
I sent it to you as we discussed, just to review
For
previously.
me, okay. Go ahead and send it to all council members tomorrow,
Okay.
and let's get it on the workshop meeting for next month.
Sounds good.
Hey, Joe,
Yes, sir.
couple things. Do you have any idea when we're gonna go back to attending the meetings off of this?
You mean
Borough Hall?
in-person meetings? I don't. I mean, I wish that I did. I'm still under the advisement of both legal counsel and health experts. We're now in a situation where we're starting to see cases spike again. I hate these meetings being on Zoom. I want to be very clear about that. I do not prefer this. This is not my preference. But realities are such that I have to take into consideration realities as they may be, not as I want them to be. And so I don't have a date on that. And as soon as possible, as soon as can be arranged. I don't, I haven't really benchmarked to see what other municipalities are doing. But I mean, we're now into the situation where we're starting to see cases spike into the winter. I think we had something to the tune of 70,000 or 80,000 new cases just this week. So we're about to get slammed with a wave. And I don't know that it would be responsible for me, despite the fact that I hate this method of meeting. And I want to be real clear about that. I don't like Zoom meetings. I don't know that it would be responsible of me to open the risk factors up. The alternatives would be that we would have to invest in some technology that we could keep people socially distant, either put them in a room away from council or the gym. Now, the gymnasium has a roof tile problem that I brought to the attention of the borough manager a little while ago. I think we decided to put that expense off for as long as we can. So I can't exactly move them into the borough gym either. The roof tile looks like it's about to fall down any minute. So it's got to be corrected, but because of COVID, nobody's been renting the gym. So it's not been a priority. I didn't want to, spend the money when we didn't have to. So my alternatives are scant as well.
Yeah, no, I was just curious on that. And second, I'll hook up with the chief to swear the new officer in, and I'm gonna have to swear Joe in too, as a code enforcement.
Okay. All right. Very good. Andrew, can we do that all same day?
I don't see why not.
All right. I'll work with the mayor, Mr. Donnelly, and the officer and the chief and make it happen.
All right.
All right. Anything else, Mayor?
Nope.
Anything else under new business? I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. You have a good night.
Have a great night, everybody. Stay healthy.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.